Please join me on Monday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern on YouTube and Facebook for Unfound Live. If you can't make it, find the Unfound Live podcast on the application you're using right now. Thanks. Joel Akridge was a 53-year-old from Columbus, Georgia. He had a learning disability and loved Hulk Hogan. On March 28, 2015, a Saturday, Joel went for his daily walk, from which he normally returned a few hours later. Due to a unique set of circumstances, his family didn't notice Joel was not home until 29 hours later. He was never seen again. I'm Ed Dunsel, and this is Unfound. With every disappearance that Unfound covers, we are reminded of the emotional and mental toll all the guests and the rest of their families have endured over the past 5, 10, 30, 50 years. What maybe isn't as obvious is the physical and sociological toll that many of these people have experienced as well. Disappearances cast a long shadow over everything in these people's lives. It's like a night that has no day. Although I have not done a study yet, I have to believe there is a causation and correlation between disappearances and those families' divorces, heart attacks, early deaths, cancer, and many other problems. For example, Jessica Curtis, sister of Tyler Stice. Does anybody really believe she commits suicide if Tyler doesn't disappear? Well, with Joel Akridge's disappearance, it seemed to start a cascade of misfortunes for his family that are happening to this day. Yet this is not rare. Every missing person's family enters the dark time. And now a summary of the case. This is brought to you by my friend Megan Linus's website, charleyproject.org. What Joel Akridge might have lacked in mental capability, he more than made up for it with his friendliness and connection to family. Everyone in the community knew Joel due to his daily walks down to the Dollar General store and back. He loved to talk to everyone he saw and never had any problems with anyone. Joel lived with his mother, sister, and brother, and the sister's husband. The house wasn't that big, but everyone, including Joel, didn't mind. Joel had his own room, and when he would leave for those walks, he would always lock it and never gave up the keys to anyone. All in all, Joel was happy. So, on the afternoon of Saturday, March 28, 2015, Joel went for his walk as usual, except for one particular twist. He went the opposite direction. Minutes later, Joel was seen hustling back from that direction and going his usual route. Due to everyone at the house having other things to do and Joel's sister being laid up due to an injury she suffered, no one noticed whether or not Joel came home that day. The evidence points to the idea that he did not. Not until Sunday evening, 29 hours later, when dinner was prepared, did the sister discover that Joel's bedroom was curiously unlocked and he wasn't there. He was never seen again. Just 2 days later, Joel's family found an outside video from a storage company that, although grainy, shows someone being assaulted, although viewers could not determine whether Joel was the victim or not. However, the timeline fits. This incident, to the family's knowledge, is still unsolved. Children and the physically and mentally handicapped are the most vulnerable in our society, and the rest of us have a responsibility to make sure no harm comes to them. Decide whether or not Joel's condition played a role in his disappearance, as you also try to answer these 3 questions during the interview. Number 1. Why did Joel initially go in the opposite direction on the day of his disappearance? Number 2, if the video is of Joel being assaulted, how can it be squared with sightings of Joel that occurred 2 miles away from there? And number 3, are the theft of Joel's sister's wedding ring and Joel's disappearance connected in some way? Joel's family is conflicted on what happened to him that weekend. The guest for this episode is Joel's sister, Patricia Kuntz. Unfound News. My guess is some of you have seen the recent news regarding a Chevy Vega that was found and how it could be connected to the disappearances of Peggy and Patty McDaniel. Despite the hubbub, I am not convinced one has anything to do with the other. Next, now would be a good time to sign up at patreon.com/Unfound Podcast. Why? The next Found episode will be coming out in the next couple of days. I'll be analyzing the disappearances and discoveries of the women abducted by Ariel Castro. Finally, the next time you hear my voice for an episode, I'll be back in beautiful Florida. For now, Dad and I are having a great time. I mean, why not? He pays for everything. I'm so happy to have on this episode of Unfound the sister of Joel Akridge, Patricia Kuntz. Patricia, welcome to Unfound.
Thank you.
The listeners should know that I've known Patricia for a while now. In fact, we were just talking about that before we started this interview. This is not a guest who I just met within the last month. I think I've known Patricia for about 5 years. We're friends on Facebook, and I'm so excited to finally interview her for this episode. Patricia's been through a lot over the past years, not even having to do anything with Joel's disappearance. So that's why it's taken some time for this to all come together. But Patricia, great to have you. And of course, let's first talk a little bit about your family. Of course, Joel is your brother, but of course, I understand that you lost your husband within the past year. Why don't you just talk a little bit about your family, if you have any other siblings? Let's start there.
Okay. At the time Joe disappeared, I had my oldest sister, Barbara, Susan Stillwell, right? And she's 68. Mm-hmm. And then the next oldest sister is Rudy Akridge, and she's 65. Wow. And then my brother Mike, who passed away 3 years ago, he was 64. And then myself, I'm 62.
Okay.
And then we have 2 more sisters, Joyce Akridge Bland, who is 60, and Brenda Lee Ludwig, who is 59.
Wow. And where does Joel fall in there?
And he's the third from the third youngest.
Okay. Wow. All right. So Joel younger than you?
1 year.
1 year younger. Wow. All right. So we had all those girls and a couple boys. That is incredible. That's a big family, Patricia. Patricia, what was it like? What was it like growing up with all of those kids together?
It was crazy, but it was fun. It was fun.
Okay. All right. Wow. And I need to ask. So all have the same parents?
All except the oldest sister. She has a different father.
Oh, okay. All right. So we have 6 with all the same parents, and 1. It's like a stepsister.
Right. We never knew that, though, till she was married. And
wow.
Her birth certificate. we never knew it.
All right. Family secrets coming out in this interview, I guess. Okay.
Wow. Even to her.
Yeah, yes. Okay. So did, of course, Joel disappeared from Columbus, Georgia, but did you all grow up like in that area or a different state or where?
We have been in this home since 1970.
Oh, my.
So Yes, pretty much. My dad retired from Fort Benning military, which is right next door.
Okay. And we're going to get into a little bit about the living arrangement. We're going to talk about Joel here in a moment, but we're also going to talk about the living, situation that you had at the time of Joel's disappearance. So what about the rest of your siblings? Do they all, if they are still alive, do they still live in the Columbus area, or are they all spread out?
Well, two of them live in Nashville, Tennessee. One of them live up near Atlanta. And then my oldest sister lives about 30 minutes from here in Alabama. And then I'm here.
Okay.
So there's 5 girls.
Wow. Yeah.
The other brother passed away 3 years ago.
Yeah. I think that happened after we had already met. I think I even remember you telling me about that back at the time when it happened.
Yeah, he died of cancer here at home.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. I certainly believe when we first started talking that he was still alive and at your home. I remember you talking about him. Okay.
Right.
All right. Let's talk about Joel himself. Now, I think what's very important for this disappearance is for everybody to understand that Joel had, I guess we might call a learning disability or something like that. Of course, you can put it in your own words. Was this something that was evident from the time that he was born? How did he handle it? What can you say about that? I think it's very important people understand this.
He was mentally retarded. He had a special ed diploma. He was in special ed all his life. And he was like on a 3rd grade reading level.
Okay.
But he had been walking since the late 70s when he turned 18. And so that was something natural for him. And he don't walk that far. 3 turns is about the most he does when he walks.
When he would go for his walks. We're going to get into his daily habits here in a moment. But, when you say 3rd grade level, did he have any jobs, during his life or anything?
They tried to train him at the Goodwill Center here, and they just said he wasn't able to work.
Okay, and so this is something that you and your siblings, did you kind of take care of them then, growing up?
Yes.
Okay.
I would have to sit and help him read, and it was no supper till you read that book, and I'd just be getting on him. Come on, Joe. It's like, see Spot run,
Right. Right.
And, but he got it. They were easy books, and he got it. And
okay.
He wanted to eat because he loves to eat.
How do you think Joel handled that? I mean, was he aware that he wasn't as mentally proficient as you and some of the other siblings, or what? How did he handle it?
Yes, I think he understood it. I mean, like in school, we had to take up for him a lot, and stand up for him. My brother even got in a fight one time because they had PE together, and they were teasing him. And they quit teasing him after my brother took care of about 3 of the guys.
Okay.
So he knew he was different.
Okay, very good. But just like anybody else, though, he did have his interests. I even have it in the notes. Of course, we're following an outline for this interview like we do for all of Unfound's interviews. I have it in here that he was a big Carrie Underwood fan. Is that right?
Oh, yes. He always said, that's going to be my wife one day. And I said, I think she's already married, Joe. Well, when we meet, we're going to get married, too. And but he would sing, he loved her song, Jesus Take the Wheel, and every day he would replay it and sing along with it, and it was so beautiful.
So I guess, being that he could remember the words, he could remember lyrics to songs then. Despite his mental deficiency, he could remember lyrics to songs.
Well, that one especially, but just words to others maybe, But if it was something he was into, yes.
Okay, interesting. So Would you say Carrie Underwood, as everybody knows, I'm not a big country music fan, so he was into country music or all different types?
Mostly country.
Mostly country.
Mostly
Okay.
country.
Okay. What about any other interests and hobbies that he had growing up? Watching sports, or could he play video games or anything? I don't know.
Wrestling.
Did he?
Wrestling was his thing. He was a Hulk Hogan fan, and he's got all kinds of stuff in his room. He had this Hulk Hogan stuffed doll, and he would show me all the time, look, I know all those wrestling techniques. Watch this. I'm going to put Hulk Hogan in a headlock. And he'd show me wrestling with the Hulk Hogan doll, putting it in a headlock and stuff and counting to 3 and I won, just real silly things that would just make you laugh,
Yeah, I can see why.
He loved watching the Dallas Cowboys. He was one fan of the Dallas Cowboys.
All right. Well, I'll try not to hold that against them, Patricia. As a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, I'll try not to hold that against Joel. Okay. All right.
And he loved watching soap operas too, though.
Oh. Okay.
Because my dad always told him, he was young when my dad died. My dad always said, son, my dad had died shortly after all 7 of his kids graduated. That's all my dad said. Please, Lord, let me get them all through school. And that next year he died. But he always told my brother Joe, son, you're going to be fine in life. Just get into the sports and learn them well. And just watch soap operas too. That way you got it good with the women and the men. You always have something to compensate with them. And that's what he done.
Yeah, interesting.
He would stop women and just, do you watch, One Life to Live? Just to make conversation. He loved to talk just like me.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So we got country music. We got wrestling, I guess what we would call WWE. Now, of course, back in the day it was WWF, but now WWE, Hulk Hogan. Yeah. And all of that, and into watching sports, the Dallas Cowboys being very conversational. Okay, very good. Now, on that point of him talking to people, if I were to have met, and hopefully, of course, I still hope that Joel's still alive, maybe one of these days I'll get to meet him. But if I were to have met him, let's say in 2013, would it be... for the first time, would it be obvious to me very quickly that he had some sort of mental deficiency, or would this not necessarily show up in a regular conversation?
Yeah. It would be obvious. It would be obvious because he gets excitable. His fingers will start to triddle, and I mean, you'll see these big old smiles and laughter come out of them, and he'll try to pop a joke, and just talk the sports or the soap opera, depending if you're a woman or a man, and would click,
Yeah.
But you could tell. You could tell.
Okay,
because
all right, because this has come up on episodes before, even going way back to like the beginning of this podcast, like Jason Jolkowski. He had something similar. He went missing something similar, and of course, I asked his mother the same thing. If I would have met Jason, would it be obvious to me that his IQ was not the average of the population or something like that? So this is not an uncommon topic here on Unfound. Okay, very good. Moving on. How did you become, of course he lived with you. How long had he been living with you, and how did it come to be that he was living with you and not like with one of your other siblings or somewhere else?
Well, my mother fell and got paralyzed, but before that she had a stroke a couple of years before, and I just live 5 miles down the road.
Okay.
And they said when she got paralyzed, hey, she's going to have to go in a home because nobody's there to take care of her. Your special ed brother can't do that. Right. And Mom said, please move in. I don't want to go to a nursing home. Please move in. Mm-hmm. But I was living there actually a couple of years prior anyway, mostly, because of her stroke. Yeah. And dementia, She died of Parkinson's disease.
Wow.
She was having falls repeatedly, and so, but I've always been right here, 5 miles down the road.
Right.
She saw me every day anyway. I did all her shopping, everything, you know.
All right.
So, that's how, you know, she always worried who was going to take care of the 2 brain-injured sons.
Right.
And I'm the one that stepped up.
Okay, so you have another brother, Michael, who had like the same issue, same kind of.
Well, his was from in 1995. He was a steel construction worker in buildings, and he fell like 50 feet down to cement.
Oh my gosh.
He was in the hospital a year. He had a 5% chance to live, and he lived.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
So that's what was wrong with him.
Okay. So in what year then would you say that, so you moved into your mother's place and Joel was there. Approximately what year was that, do you think?
I would say it was 2013. A couple of years before he went missing.
All right, 2013. Okay. And so when he disappeared technically from your mother's house. Technically?
Right.
Okay, very good. And of course, you were married at the time, and you know, very sadly, I know your husband died last year. So you were all living there at essentially your mother's house.
Yes.
Okay, very good. And maybe you just
at the time Joe went missing, it was my mother, Joe, my husband, me, and my one son.
Wow. Okay.
That's 39 years old now.
Okay, very good. Thank you for that.
But he was special too, so.
All right. Okay. All right. So you're all living there, and you almost got into this a little bit, so let's talk about that right now. The way you've explained it to me is that all of you living together, and of course going back to the year of his disappearance, 2015, as I think, you know, all of us have like daily, you know, patterns of what we do no matter what our mental capacity is. But how would you explain Joel's daily routine? You talked about him liking to go for walks. What was his daily routine, you living with him for those couple years before he went missing?
He would just get up and have some breakfast and then watch TV, listen to his music, and say, I'm going for a walk, you know, and because I was bringing him to the heart doctor, and we found that out a few years back, that he had an enlarged heart. He was born with it.
Okay.
And the doctor told him how important it was to walk, to stay healthy, keep your heart healthy.
Sure.
And I said, well, doctor, there's no problem with that. He's been walking since the late 70s. He probably walks 5-10 miles every day. And he said, great. And so that's what he would do. He would, you know, he'd get up and eat and watch a little TV and then head on out the door. And he always knew darkness could not hit. Usually it was no more than 3 hours he'd be gone, you know.
Okay.
And sometimes it was just the 20-minute walk to the corner right here and back to the Dollar General. It's like a 10-minute walk, actually. And then he'd come back home, and like I said, he loved to eat, you know. And watch. He had hundreds of videos. He taped probably every wrestling match Hulk Hogan was ever in since 1976. So he's got hundreds. And he would just put them in and replay them and replay Dallas Cowboy games. And he'd learn. He could tell you their height, their weight, anything about any player. Football player, wrestler. I mean, if he was on Jeopardy, he would definitely win.
Okay.
He knew everything about them.
Okay, so he did have the mental capacity to remember things if he saw something over and over and over.
Right, that he was interested in.
If he was interested in it, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say your opinion, given that he went on this daily walk every day, like you said, 5 to 10 miles, sometimes would be gone for 20 minutes, sometimes for 3 hours. Was he kind of known in the area? Did everybody, if he was walking down the street, being that he was doing this almost every day, would people know, hey, that's Joel? Would like local shop owners know that was Joel?
Yes.
Okay.
Everybody knew him. Everybody did. I mean, even everybody in the stores. I mean, the bread delivery people and the grocery people. Mm-hmm. Everybody in the little restaurants, Zaxby's, Crystal's, McDonald's, Burger King. Everybody knew Joe.
Okay.
They were just heartbroken when they found out he was missing.
Okay, and we're going to come back to maybe
flyers up everywhere.
Yeah, we're going to come back to them in a little bit, what they had to say about all this in a little bit. All right, so he's known. To your knowledge, did he ever have any problems? Did he ever come home some days and say, somebody harassed me, somebody tried to take my money, somebody did this?
Never.
Never.
Huh. Nobody ever bothered him.
Okay. Did you ever worry about him, though, doing that? Or is this something that you and your husband and the other people in the house, you just kind of got used to it? You just said, well, he's going out. We know where he's going. He knows where he's going. You never really worried about him on any of these walks.
Right, because he knew not to walk further than the Waffle House. And he knew that, So he never walked further than there.
Why the Waffle House? Well, why was that the limit?
Because that's right before the bypass.
All right.
On Buena Vista Road. We're off Amber, and Amber's off Buena Vista. So he only has 2 or 3 turns he has to remember when he's walking.
Okay. Once again, I realize, and the listeners should know, we're doing this interview on July 12th of 2023, and Joel went missing back on March 28th of 2015, so it's over 8 years since. But the way you remember it, can you ever remember a time of Joel getting lost? That somebody had to call you and say, you know what, Joel's here and he doesn't know where to go. Anything like that?
Twice that happened. It happened once before when he was 18, the first year he started walking.
Okay.
And he took the wrong turn. He was trying to find the mall, actually, and I said, now that's more than 3 turns. That's why you got lost.
Yeah, right.
But the store called my dad up, and it was dark time. We were worried. We had already got out and drove around and didn't see him nowhere. And the store called us about 8:30 and said, you got a son, Joel? Yes, I do. Well, I've got him here. And I just gave him something to drink, and he's really flushed red. He's been walking around for hours trying to find his home. And my dad said, I'll be right there. So that time he got lost, and then there was another time. It was, I would say 2010 probably. It was in 2010.
Okay.
He wanted to go watch a wrestling match, and he didn't want to ask for a ride. And that was like 10 miles.
Wow.
There, 10 miles back. And he thought it was something simple. And he had asked his friend in Winn-Dixie, who's also special, what road do I take? And the guy said, I'm going to take you down, I'm going to tell you the shortest 3 turns. And when he was fine, he got there, got to watch it and everything. But then when it let out, he lost his way on the way back.
Wow.
And he walked into a Burger King and had them call me to pick him up.
All right. So even though, once again, he got lost these couple times, he knew where to go. He knew somebody could help him out.
Right. Those were the only 2 times.
Only 2 times.
Since 1978 that he got lost. Okay,
and even the second one was in 2010. So this is like 5 years before he went missing. Something like that. All right, so I guess what we're saying is near the time of his disappearance, he was not having any direction problems.
No.
None. Okay. All right, so he has this routine. Everybody knows him. Did he have any friends? Anybody that he would actually meet up with, or would they come over to the house? I realize that he's a little older. Please.
Nobody ever come to the house, okay? But there was this one black guy that was special too, that lived down the road here. And one day I left to go to the doctor's, and this was a couple of years before he went missing.
Okay.
And I saw him at the red light. He always turns right because that's where all the stores are. And I saw him turning the first street to the left, and I watched, and he went in that corner house, and I pull up in the driveway, and I knock on the door, and the lady says, "Can I help you?" I said, "Can you tell me if my brother Joe just come in this house?" Yes, I just invited him in to get a cold rag and a bottle of water, ma'am. That's all. He was fixing to leave. He walks with my special brother. You know, he's special too, and they meet up at the red light every day, and they'll walk together. And a couple of times a week, not every day, just a couple of times a week. And he walked them to the front door this time.
Okay.
And I saw he was flushed, and I said, "Can you ask him to please come out? Then I'm here to take him to the house." And he come out, and his hands twiddling like he was in trouble, you know.
Yeah.
And that's how he would look. That's how another way you'll know he's special, because his eyes will get really big, and his hands will start twiddling. Okay. When he gets excitable, when he thinks he's in trouble about something, you know. And I just got him in the car, and I said, "Look, Joe, don't ever do that. You're not supposed to get in cars. You're not supposed to go in strangers' houses." "Oh, well, I don't if they're a stranger. I know him. I walk with him a couple of days every week." I said, "Joe, you might know him like that, but you don't know him, honey. That ain't somebody you've known all your life. So just please don't go inside a home no more. If you need picked up because you're ugly hot or something, have them call my number. I'll come get you, okay?"
Right.
"Oh, okay." You know.
Okay.
But that's the only time I saw him not go straight to where he's saying, you know.
Okay.
So,
all right, and this is going to come up a little bit when we talk about the day of this disappearance. Certainly, the listeners will hear this in a little bit about, you know, what direction Joel was going on the day of his disappearance. One more person I have to ask you about. Of course, you've detailed who was living in the house at the time between you, your husband, Joel, your mother, and your son. Correct? Those are the people?
correct.
All right. But you also had a nurse there, and we're going to get into details about her later, and we don't need to get into necessarily her name. But was she taking care of your mother? Is that why she was there?
Yeah, she didn't live there, though.
Right.
She was there 10 hours, 7 days a week.
Okay. And how did she come to be hired? Just in general, did she get along with everybody there? How did that all happen?
The hospice had stepped in that last 6 months to help me with my mother, you know, because she was paralyzed. And it was one of the hospice nurses that gave me her name, because I was looking for some help, you know, to give me a break around the 24-hour thing.
Right. Okay.
And she gave me her name to contact her. And being new in this, you know, it's just like my home that I rented out for the first time. Yeah, you live and learn, you know, like I should have did background checks.
Well, yeah.
And I didn't.
Yeah. I just need, for these purposes, right in this part of the interview, I just want to know, how long had she been working there before Joel's disappearance? A year, 6 months? Do you even remember?
Oh, no, probably not even 2 months at that time.
Not even 2 months. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. And what was her schedule? When would she get there and when would she leave?
Like 8 in the morning till 5 in the evening.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And so her job was taking care of your mother. Of course, she had these health issues, but Would you say that the nurse got along? Did you get along with her? I realize maybe your perception of her now is different, and we'll get into that shortly. But at the time, did you get along with her? How did Joel get along with her?
I got along with her. Joe had words with her, and my mother had words with her, right? And for different reasons. And but as far as my husband and my child and me, we got along with her.
Okay.
I mean, it's not they didn't get along with her, but they voiced opinions of things,
Okay.
that they saw and didn't like.
Okay, gotcha. Would you say at the time, was your impression of her that she was doing a good job with your mother?
Yes, I thought she was doing a good job with my mother.
Okay, and I know that I have experience, although it's not been recently. I can remember when, just for my experience with something like that is that when my grandmother, my dad's mother, had a stroke, and she was living in our house in Leechburg, Pennsylvania, back in the 1980s. We had nurses come in during the day, and in a way, they do become a little bit part of the family. You do get to know them pretty well, and
Right.
So I've had experience in this area, even though that's like almost 40 years ago. But sometimes you really mesh real well with some nurses, and some others you don't. It just depends. But
Right.
for purposes of just this part of the interview, she had been recommended, I guess, to your family through the hospice. And she had been there about 2 months before Joel went missing. And I think it's very important for everybody to remember that for later.
Okay.
Just some more questions, and they are right on the outline. Just the days before. Let's just say the week before. Anything going on with Joel? Was he acting any differently than usual? Any calls to the house? And I do understand. Please.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Please. We'll start there, please.
Okay. Well, probably about 3 weeks before Joe went missing, my car broke down. Oh. And the nurse said, "Oh my goodness, I just got my car back. As you see, I called the online mechanics on wheels." I said, mm-hmm. "What do you mean?" "Oh, you've never used mechanics on wheels? Comp's mechanic on wheels?" I said, "No." And I said, "What's the difference? They're on wheels. They come to your home and fix your vehicle. You don't have to tow it to them or nothing. Mm-hmm. You want me to give you the number?" I said, "Sure." And so she gave me the number, and I contacted him, and he come out here, and I think it was his brother or cousin, for 3 weeks, they worked on that car before they got it done. I had to get a rental, paid 3 weeks for a rental, and that was different.
3 weeks to fix a car. What was wrong with it? You're going to have to tell us 3 weeks to fix a car. What was wrong with it?
They said several things. It cost me, I think, $2,500
Oh,
total.
my goodness.
But, they had to replace the whole gas tank. It was failure on it, they said. Okay. And stuff under the hood. I don't have the receipt right now.
That's fine. It's fine.
It was a lot of different parts they had to work on it, they said. But they did get it back running. But and that was actually the day before Joe went missing, when they finally got it done.
Okay.
And the other issue that had happened was my wedding ring coming up missing off the shelf.
It went missing before Joe went missing?
Right, the week before.
Okay.
And that was the other issue. And then my mom had said some little tinker figurines were missing from the shelf too. And that she saw the nurse put them in her purse. But wow. She didn't tell me till the next day, so I couldn't say, "Open your purse." You know what I'm saying? And with my mom having dementia and stuff, I didn't know for sure.
Okay. All right. So we had these things going on. We're certainly going to talk about both of these issues later. I do have to ask you something about the mechanics on wheels. Were these guys who were working on your car, were they related to the nurse? Are they friends, or what were they?
She said just friends.
Okay. All right.
You know,
okay.
She didn't say she was related to them.
Okay. What about Joel himself? The week before this, did he have any interactions with these guys who were working on the car right there in your driveway? Anything like that?
Yes. Yes. Just a few days, actually, before they got the vehicle done, I had two doctor's appointments that day, and I told them that evening, please take tomorrow off, because my mom don't feel comfortable, with strangers here at the home without me or Bob here, my husband. Mm-hmm. So would you mind taking tomorrow off? And they said, no problem. Well, the next day comes, and I come back from the doctor. It had been 2.5 to 3 hours I was gone. Mm-hmm. And I see them standing in the driveway with my brother, Joe. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking at my husband like, what the heck's going on? We told them don't come today. And we get out of the car, and they went, we just got here. We just ran to the backyard because he forgot he left his $100 pair of sunglasses here yesterday and needed them. He didn't want them lost. But Joe went back there with us, and we can't find them anywhere. So I don't know, but we'll see you tomorrow. Okay. And then I come in the house, and I see my brother's room wide open, which he always locks his room.
Joel always locks his room.
Keys. Yes.
Okay.
And his room was wide open, and the house keys on the bed. I said, Joe, really? Because of the incident of my mom that week asking the nurse and me to bring her to the bedroom, that she wanted to pass down some things to me before she died. And I told her, Mama, I made a promise to you when you became paralyzed. I was not going to set foot in that room. I don't want to hear the other siblings say, I went in and got what I wanted, there's nothing left, whatever, that I wasn't going to set foot in there until you died and passed away. Those material things don't mean nothing to me, Mama, okay? Yeah. Our memories together is what I'm saving. And I'll be doggone the next day, I get out of the shower, and the nurse said, hey, your mama said, we can just carry out the jewelry box and the other stuff she wants to pick through if you don't want us to bring her to the room in the wheelchair. I said, the wheelchair won't fit through. We already tried that before they had to move her in the living room. Mm-hmm. And so, we'd have to carry her. And we're not going to do that because my mom was a heavy-set woman, and I said, and like I said, those are material things. Well, she's really been talking over here to me saying she wants to get to the bedroom. And I said, Joni, don't, egg on the conversation, okay? Just drop it, please. And, of course, after my mom passed away, that's another part of the story.
Yeah, it is. We'll get to that. So, I guess what we're saying is there were some things going on in the weeks before Joel's disappearance that were out of the norm for your house.
Right.
You're once again, I, of course, didn't live there. You lived there. You still live there. There were just some perceptions, though, even before Joel went missing, there were things going on that seemed a little out of the ordinary.
Correct.
Okay, very good. Now, I do have to ask you, you had some sort of injury at the time, because the people need to understand that Joel was not recognized to be missing,
yes.
For like 36 hours roughly there, like over a day.
29.
And I know 29 hours, thank you. And I think we need to explain why that is. You had some sort of injury, and you need, I don't know how you really want to get into your medical history.
I forgot to mention that to you.
Yeah, but
the Tuesday, the week, that Joe went missing on that Saturday. That Tuesday,
okay,
when I was taking care of my mom and giving her breakfast and everything, I had these bell-bottom pants on. They got hooked on the food tray and the rail of the bed. And I went back and flipped over the wheelchair and hit into the glass table and went down, and I saw stars. I was out there for a good minute. The nurse ran out back and yelled for my husband to get in there and help her. And my mom wanted me to go to, call an ambulance, get her to the hospital. And I said, no, Mom, I won't be back before she leaves at 5. I can't do that, hon. And I said, I'll be fine. And, but yes, that happened on Tuesday. On Wednesday, I went to my psychiatrist, and he documented it and said, wow, you had a pretty bad fall, because I was all purplish blue, you could see it, and all across my low back and high back. And so that was Wednesday. Thursday was my pain doctor, because I've had 12 surgeries. I've had 15 now, but I had 12 then. Okay. But I went to my pain doctor on Thursday, and he had got it. He comes from Atlanta, 100 miles away, to a clinic down here 2 days a week. And he got in a car wreck just 15 minutes leaving town. So he didn't make it. So the nurse said, well, Patricia, come to the back. Let me observe your body, and document this. And she did, and she gave me her personal cell phone number to go to the emergency room to get pain med, because my prescription would have been out that evening. And she said, you're legit, so I'm going to back you up here. And I said, well, thank you. But then when I came back to the house, the nurse said, oh, no, I've got to leave unless you got someone to cover you, because you need Bob to drive you. So unless you got someone to cover you, your mental son and mental brother cannot take care of your mother. Give her injections and give her meds. So I don't know what to tell you, Patricia. I'm sorry. So the nurse said, I called the nurse back at the doctor's, and she said, I tell you what, so many people are complaining here. They need their medicines because they wait till the last day to get an appointment, refill. So I'm going to take off early in the morning and go down to Atlanta and get all these scripts signed, and y'all call at 2 o'clock Saturday. Okay. And I'll let y'all know they're here. Come pick them up. I said, oh, thank you. So I hang up the phone, and then Saturday I call, and Joe and my mom and the nurse is sitting in there, and they hear me on the phone. And Joe said, she's crying. She's crying. She's not getting her med. That nurse didn't go down there and get them prescriptions signed. And I hung up the phone, and Joe said, she didn't get them signed, did she, Patty? I said, no, Joe. I said, she said for sure Monday. I said, but, I'm completely out of my pain, and I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm hurting so bad. And Mom said, I know what you're going to do. Get Bob. So Joe yelled out the back door, because he's always working out there in the yard. Bob, Mom needs you. Okay, I'm coming. So he comes in, and Mom said, Bob, you have a problem being my nurse, for 14 hours the next 2 days till Patty can get her meds filled, because she's in a lot of pain. Yeah. I can't stand to see her crying over there. And, of course, my husband said, well, I don't, Nellie. So Mom looked at me and said, I know you have some standby Xanax for bad times. Go take you a couple and lay down. I want you getting some rest. And, Bob, there's some Bengay stuff or whatever it is in the cabinet. Go rub it on your wife and get her feeling a little better before the nurse leaves here in a couple of hours.
And this is all on Saturday. This is actually, This is the last time, also the last time anybody saw Joel, correct?
Right.
All right, so
it was 2
please
o'clock,
continue. Please continue. Yes.
Like I said, it was 2 o'clock, and so I go and I jump in the shower. I said, Bob, let me take a hot shower first. You can get the medicine, and I'll be in the room in a few minutes. So I stood under that shower. It was probably about 10 to 3. And I was in there a good probably 40 minutes because I was hurting so bad. And I got out, and I saw Joe out the back window talking to Bob in the yard there. He had been helping him rake the leaves or something. And I went in there to get dressed and let Bob know I was out. He could come in, that the nurse only had a couple of hours. It was 3 o'clock. And Joe said, I'm going to run down to Dollar General, okay? Get me some lollipops and some ravioli and old peanuts in the can, and you're not going to have to worry about cooking the next 2 days. I'll be just fine, because you can eat that stuff right from the can, can't you, Bob? He said, yeah, it's already cooked. And he said, and I'm going to go next door to the corner store and get that good candy I like. Because I got 4 videos in my room, wrestling videos, and I hadn't had the chance to watch them. And that's what I'm going to be doing all night. And I said, well, I'll order pizza tomorrow, Joe. Don't worry. I ain't going to make y'all go hungry around here. I might not be able to eat, but I'll order pizza tomorrow. It'll be pizza night. He said, good. And he said, okay, I'll be right back. And because we used the back door, because my mom's bedroom was set up in the front door of the living room area. So he went out the back door and walked around and said, see you later. And Bob comes in to start putting the stuff on me. And I hear the nurse, it was maybe 7 minutes later, Patty, come in here. Huh. You got to see this. And my brother is coming down from the hill. It's a hillside here to the left, and to the right is flat to the stop sign.
Okay.
And he's never gone to the left. And here he come. He was practically running down that hill to the stop sign. And I yelled, Joe. I opened the screen and yelled, Joe. He didn't even acknowledge me. He just kept going. I mean, he was practically running.
Huh.
It was like a run walk. And right when he got to the stop sign, the city bus pulls up. And he crosses, and usually he turns right there. He don't cross over and turn to go to Dollar General. He usually just turns at the corner house there to the left to go to Dollar General, because it's down on the right side. But he crossed over, so he was blocked by the bus. I couldn't see him. So I don't know if he got on the bus, because he has ridden the city bus with my brother-in-law several times before.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And so, but I don't know if he'd understand how to do it on his own, but I don't know.
Okay. Let me jump in here for Patricia. Let me make sure the listeners understand this. So what you're saying is on this day, this Saturday, when he left, and a few minutes later, the nurse called out to Hugo, and it seems when he left the house that he went the opposite direction of the way he usually goes, and then when you saw him, it seems like he was coming back from that direction.
Right, he was coming back down from the hill.
Okay.
I was like, what in the world did he go up there for?
Okay. And you had never seen this happen before? You'd never ever heard anybody say, I saw Joel up on the hill, something like that. Nothing like that ever happened.
Right, that was unusual.
All right. And when he was going by, when you were shouting to him, and I guess either he didn't hear you or was ignoring you, how many feet or yards would you say he was away from you when you were yelling out to him?
Oh, he was like right across from me. You know how there's 2 sides?
Mm-hmm.
The house is on that side and the house is on the side you're at.
Yeah.
He was right across from me, but he was just twiddling them fingers and just practically running.
All right,
it was a run walk.
Okay.
And when he crossed over, instead of just turning there at the house corner, when he crossed over and the bus was blocking him, the next thing I see is a red sports car zooming down. I mean, fast, 45 miles per hour. And children, are everywhere in this neighborhood. I mean, just coming down from that hill and taking a quick left the way Joe was going to Dollar General.
Okay. All right, so this all went on within like split seconds. Him going down there, him running, him ignoring you, the bus and this car, all happened within a few seconds of each other.
Yes.
Okay. And how far is the stops? How many, is your house right next to the stop sign, or is there like a house between you and the stop sign? How many?
Five houses from the stop sign.
Okay, very good. So not far. Not far.
Right.
All right, and so then, though, when the bus pulls up, though, he goes out of view. Joel goes out of view.
Correct.
Okay.
Because the bus must have been 5 minutes early because it sat there. And if it comes like at 10 after 3, he has to wait till a quarter after to take off because that's his time he's supposed to arrive is 3:15.
Right.
So if he arrives 5 minutes early, he's got to sit 5 minutes.
Sure, of course.
And that's what was happening.
Okay, very good. Thank you for explaining that. When this happened and then you didn't see Joel, did you or the nurse or both walk out into the yard? Did you walk out to the street to see if Joel was standing there or anything or not?
No, I didn't go down the street or nothing like that. I just figured he was in a hurry to get back before she left at 5. That's what I thought. He was just trying to hurry.
Okay.
And get back before the nurse left at 5.
Okay. And what you're saying also, though, is there had been no reason that you know of for him to go that opposite direction originally, right?
None.
Okay.
He hasn't all his life. He's never walked to the left.
Okay, very good. And
that's other neighborhoods, that's not stores, it's other neighborhoods.
Okay. And the listeners should know that I will be doing a map video that will be up on Unfound's YouTube channel to go deeper into this. This maybe is a little confusing with directions and everything. I will be doing a map video to explain this to everyone so you can watch this as a companion piece to listening to this interview. So after this happens, what do you do for the rest of the day?
Well, I went in there and let my husband put the rope stuff on me and took me a Xanax. And then an hour later, I was still in tears and hurting, and I took one more Xanax. And the nurse comes in and says, "Hey, it's 5 o'clock. I need that check. I'm leaving for my second shift job." And I was like, and she said, "Hey, Bob, you need to go in here and shake her up. I need my check, She's got to sign it." So I got up, and I was just so groggy because that's how bad it messed me up because I don't hardly ever take one,
Of course. Sure.
And I'm lucky if I take it once a month, So it had already really affected me bad, the Xanax did. And I went to write the check out, and I messed up, and I ripped it and said, "I got to write another one, hold on." And she said, "Wow, them pills really took effect on you fast." I said, "I know. That's because I don't ever take them." So I wrote her another one, and then she got in the car and left. I did see her get on the phone, though, as soon as we closed the door after seeing Joe turn the corner. She did get on the phone to somebody. I went on into the bedroom, which is right next to the living room where my mom stayed, for Bob to put the medicine on me. But she immediately had dialed somebody on the phone.
When you say phone, on her cell phone or on her cell phone?
Cell phone.
Okay, very good. And I should have asked you this before. When Joel would go for these walks, did Joel have a cell phone?
No, he was getting one for his birthday coming up.
All right, so at the time of his disappearance, he was not carrying a phone that day?
No.
Okay, that's fine.
I don't even know if he could really use it, if he could really understand how to do it, actually. But that's what his birthday present was. I had already ordered it, actually, for him.
Wow, okay. So the rest of the day, you're groggy. You write this check for it, and you go to sleep. Do you fall asleep?
Yes.
Okay. And do you know, once again, and how long were you asleep till?
12 hours till 5 in the morning.
5 in the morning on Sunday.
Right.
All right, so
5 a.m. I got up to use the bathroom, and I noticed Joe's tea pitcher was pretty near the edge, but he usually gets up around 5:30 to make him a pitcher of tea. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, he must be fixing to make him a pitcher of tea is why it was sitting there on the edge. You know, that's what I thought, because it was right there on the edge and it was empty. So I thought, well, he's fixing to come out and fix that tea. So I used the bathroom, and I'm still groggy, holding on to the wall, going back to the room, and lay right back down. Mm-hmm. And Bob said, your mom ain't called for help one time, and every night she's every hour calling for me. Every hour I have to go out there. Mm-hmm. And she didn't do that with Bob watching her. Bob said, your mom likes messing with you is what it is, you know. And she got to see you right there beside her. Mm-hmm. I said, I hear you. That's what it sounds and looks like, don't it? So anyway, I laid back down. And the next thing I know is I'm hearing the knock at the door at 7:15. It's the hospice nurse, because they come at that time to give my mom her bath every day.
Okay, this is different nurse than the one that comes every day.
Right.
Okay.
There's 2 hospice nurses that come.
Okay.
And one of them, one of them only, the one that gave me the referral to this nurse, this everyday nurse, mm-hmm. Wasn't coming no more. I was like, that's strange. And so that one said she was just filling in for me for a couple of weeks. I'm the regular nurse. I said, well, I enjoy you more anyway, like that, you know. Mm-hmm. And because the nurse, she's the one that's on the hospice commercials, the one that she moved next door to me 2 weeks ago, right next door. Wow. And she is the most wonderful nurse, the regular hospice nurse that took over. She is just beautiful. But anyway, they came in, I went and laid back down. They knew about the fall and all that. They said, oh my God, you didn't get your med. I said, no, I'm going to get it tomorrow. She had family emergency and couldn't go down there Friday and get them scripts signed. And so anyway, the nurses left and Joni pulls up. Oh, the nurse, the one I have every day for 10 hours.
Yes.
She pulls up and comes in, and so I go back and lay down, of course. Those 2 pills still got me out of it, you know. And I told her, I said, for some reason, if I sleep another 12 hours, make sure I'm alert, and Bob's next to me at 5 when you leave, you know. I said, because I need them I got to make a grocery list for him and my son to run to the Winn-Dixie down the street and do some food shopping for me. But I'm going to order pizza for tonight. She said, okay. So 5 o'clock come, I wrote the check again. I was more alert this time. I wrote the check again, and I made the grocery list real quick. It was a long one, and because they only go once a week. So I made the list for them to go to Winn-Dixie, and so it was probably about 6:10 when they took off for Winn-Dixie. Took me a little while to do that list. And I said, now, y'all be back by 8, because I'm calling that pizza, and it'll be here, say, 8 o'clock, okay? Mm-hmm. So y'all try to get that shopping done. And I said, I guess Joe must still be sleeping away, staying up all night watching them videos. And Bob said, he must be, because I ain't seen him come out. And
his door, and just to be clear, the door was shut to his bedroom?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right, very good.
He keeps it shut. That's why I was upset that a couple of days before when I came home and he was outside. But they go on, and it's 8 o'clock, and I'm calling them at Winn-Dixie, and I said, look, the pizza's on the way. Y'all want it hot? Y'all come on. We're at the register now. We're fixing to go out the door. I said, all right, y'all hurry. So it's about 8:15. They pull up, and I said, it just got here. That was them that just turned the corner when y'all turned. And I said, dang it. I said, I just gave Mom her Pepsi and pizza. I said, I've been yelling for Joe any other time. He'd come running out when I yelled, the food's ready. You know, he'd be the first one in line to get his plate. And Bob, because they pulled around the back, because we used the back door, my husband said, well, he must still be sleeping because his light's off, Pat. So I guess you guys go back there and wake him up. He probably stayed up probably 10, 11 this morning watching all those movies. And so I go back and I'm knocking on his bedroom door, and he's not saying nothing. I said, Joe, pizza's here. And no, nothing. So I turn the knob and it's unlocked. And I open the door and it's dark, and I flip the light on and he's not in there.
All right, so let me jump in here and ask you a few questions. So once again, to remind everybody, you see him running down the street the day before, and then you kind of, due to you having this injury, taking this medication, it knocks you out. What about, for example, your husband, whose name is Bob? What did he do the rest of that day while you were sleeping? What did he do?
He was just sitting. See, our door, like I said, you can be in our bedroom, which is right next to where my mom lays, in the living room. So he could hear if she rung the little bell we give her, or she yelled out, help, Bob, whatever. And that's what I'm saying. It seemed like it was the first weekend she ever slept so peacefully. It was unreal. And I said, wouldn't you know it, hubby, you get the good weekend,
I guess.
And so he was just laying on the bed watching TV right there with me while I was sleeping. He was just right there watching TV, listening and checking on my mom.
Okay.
The nurse left at 5.
All right, but just to ask you a question, you're kind of passed out, knocked out with the Xanax, but could he not remember Joel coming back on that Saturday? Would that not have been something he would have noticed, or what? Your opinion. Well, none of us, of course, lived there.
There again, when the pizza come at 8:15, the first thing I did when I turned on Joe's light and saw he wasn't in there, I immediately called the nurse. And I asked her, because, it only takes 10, 15 minutes to walk to Dollar General here on the corner. And I asked her, did you see Joe come back, before you left at 5 o'clock yesterday? And she said, well, yeah, I thought I did. Why you asking? I said, because it's dark time, and he's not in his room. The pizza's here. He's not here. And she said, oh, goodness, really? And I said, yeah. So, we just assumed he was sleeping all day because he said he was going to watch those 4 2-3-hour movies each and sleep all day today till the pizza comes. She said, yeah, that's what he said. I said, well, he's not in there. That's why I'm asking before I call the police. Do you remember him coming home? Because they're going to ask that. And I was out on Xanax. Yeah, I thought that he came home right before I went in there and told you I needed my check. But then again, from the side view, he kind of looks like your son. So, heck, I might be mistaken. Maybe it was your son that came in the back door. I'm right on the edge over there by your mom, so I only see a little of the side view. But I thought it was Joe.
I guess, Patricia, I guess what I'm asking you is, we're going to get into maybe why this nurse can't be believed, but of course your husband can be believed. Did he not notice, because we're talking, once again, for everybody to understand, Joel leaves your house on the afternoon of Saturday, and you don't notice that he's not in his room until Sunday evening. I'm just asking you, did your husband ever see him come back on Saturday?
No, because he was in room with me. That's what I'm saying.
All right, so he would not, nobody would
did.
hear or anything like that.
No, my other son goes outside to smoke, so you hear the door open and close all the time at the back door, you know.
Okay.
So I guess he was just assuming that he had returned, because he said he was going to eat the cans of ravioli. He had his own little can opener. He was going to eat that right from the can, and his boiled peanuts and candy, and he was going to be fine.
Okay. All right, so what we're trying to establish here is there's really no proof that Joel ever came back from when he left on Saturday.
That's true.
Okay, so all right, thank you very much. All right, so now we move to Sunday evening, the pizza. You go to, call him in. You're thinking, well, we just haven't seen him all day. Maybe he did go out for his walk. Nobody saw he comes back. He's in his room hanging out. And then you go in there and you see that he's not there. And you call the nurse asking her about the day before. And she says, well, I thought he came home yesterday, but, I thought he did, but we're not really sure. So what happens then? You see Joel's not there. You can't establish he ever even came back the day before. What do you do then when you find he's not in his room?
I call 911 and I tell them I need to make a missing report. And they said, a missing report? I said, my special ed brother. I'm not sure if he came back yesterday when he left at 3 o'clock here on Amber Drive. I said, I know, everybody knows him. I said, he was walking to the Dollar General store, but I called. He was going to buy the ravioli, boiled peanuts and candy, come back and watch videos all night and sleep until pizza tonight. I said, but the nurse thought she saw him come back home before she left at 5, but he's not in there. And he never is gone when it's dark time. And, so I need the police come do a report. So the officer Danka comes out, does a report, and I show her the picture of Joe. Oh, he's okay. I saw him earlier. Here, let me get in my police car and drive around here. I said, you saw my brother earlier? Yeah, I know Joe. Yeah, he's okay. Let me ride around. He's probably just lost. I went, How can he be lost, ma'am? It's only 2 turns.
Right.
And I said, where did you see her? Oh, he was fixing to turn on Amber, which we live off Amber. He was on Buena Vista Road fixing to turn on Amber down that way. And she said, but it's been a few hours, so let me go just circle around and I'll be back. So she comes back in about 10, 15 minutes and she went, well, I don't see him anywhere, but I'm pretty sure it was Joe. But I tell you what, since, he's special ed, let me go on and put a bolo out with his picture.
Okay.
And I'll put him on the news also. So that's what they did.
So we have to remember something. Of course, you're calling her at 8 at night. She shows up. This officer shows up shortly after that, but of course this is March. Of course it's going to be dark by 8 o'clock, but still she thought she saw Joel out on the road even though it was dark.
Well, she said it was daylight when she saw him.
Oh, okay. All right, so earlier that day is when she said,
okay,
gotcha. Thank you for explaining that. Okay, so she's saying that sometime during her patrol she saw Joel walking when it was still daylight out. She gets the call from you. She shows up and says, oh, yeah, I saw him earlier today, but she goes out to find him and can't find him.
Right.
Okay. What goes on the next few days? Any searches done? More police get involved? Do you go out? Does your husband go out? What goes on?
All the family came in the next day. I called them all up.
Okay.
And they all come in the next day. And we do flyers, to go put on all the windows of the stores and all that, and on the poles out here, and stuff. And put some in the yard, people passing by to see. And then I was secluded my husband, me, and my son. Anybody that lived with Joe was told not to leave the house.
Okay.
That they were going to perform an investigation first. And they didn't want us going anywhere. And, but we had already been out and went down there to the Dollar General, because that's where he was going to be, to ask questions and everything. And the haircut man next door to the Dollar General said, yeah, I remember Joe here. Yeah, he was even talking about you. You're his sister. I said, yes, I am, because they always see me with him. And he said something about you getting hurt, and he had to hurry up and get back home, but he wanted to go to that corner store and get some candy. I said, exactly. And he was supposed to get boiled peanuts and ravioli and suckers from right here next door to you at the Dollar General. Well, he didn't go in there first. He went straight across to the corner store. I was just on a smoke break. I went back in my shop.
Mm-hmm. All right, and this barber, for example, was very sure. Could he identify whether this was on Saturday or Sunday?
Oh yeah, he said it was Saturday.
Okay. All right, please continue.
And so then what I did is I went to see about video. Well, the only place was Dollar General, which had inside video only, not out in the parking lot. Mm-hmm. You know, outside. Then the next to them, in the back a little bit, there's a Bob's Storage. They did have video. Mm-hmm. And she let us watch it.
Okay.
And I thought I saw my brother on it.
All right, and we're going to get into the specifics of that. So you're really, the way I would understand it, you're explaining here, Patricia, is you really took the bull by the horns here and said, you know what, I'm going to get out there and start talking to people and see if they saw Joel. That's what you did right away.
Right.
Okay. I have to ask, being that the police told you to stay at home, did they kind of check like you and Bob out to make sure that you actually didn't have something to do with Joel's disappearance?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they there were 6 different sets of detectives.
Wow.
The first 2 sets of 2, they were nice and understanding and all, but that third set, they came in and tore this house apart 3 different times.
Did they?
I mean, they were looking in my freezer, my dryer, my cabinets, in between my mattress and my closets and my drawers. I said, my brother was a big boy. Yeah, but you can chop them up in pieces and put the different bags in different places.
Oh, my.
That's what I was told.
Oh,
that's because of an issue I had with one sibling.
All right. I don't know if we want to get. I don't know if we want to get into that. Yeah, I don't want to know if we want to get into that. But okay, so they're checking all of you out. Of course, you had nothing to do with Joel's disappearance. Of course, that's absurd. But sometimes, sometimes family members do cause other family members' disappearance. But in this situation, I don't know if that was rational thinking on their part or not. Just your first impressions. What were you thinking? Maybe going back to that Sunday night. He doesn't come back, but the police officer says that she saw him earlier that day. What are you thinking? Your first knee-jerk reaction as to why Joel is missing. That he got abducted, that he walked off, that he got lost. What were you thinking?
Something not good, because he always came right back home.
Okay.
And at dark time the next night, it being dark, even if he did come home and leave the next day, which something's just not right about his bedroom not being locked.
Right. Okay.
And I didn't know if he might have lost his keys the day before, because they had video of him down there at the Dollar General the day before, and the receipt and stuff was in his room also. But I didn't know if maybe he had dropped his keys the day before, and that's why his room wasn't unlocked, and he left out early on Sunday morning to go try to find them.
All right.
I didn't know.
All right, so I need to...
different things.
Yeah. I need to ask you this. Is there proof? Is there any proof that Joel, in the house, that Joel actually did come home on Saturday?
No proof.
No proof.
Mm-mm.
No proof at all. So he said he was once in the whole talk about the boiled peanuts, the ravioli, all of that. There's no proof that he ever came home on Saturday to this day.
Right, because none of that evidence is in there.
Okay. And when you went out and first you talked to this barber who claims that he saw Joel, did you go to this store? Is there any proof that Joel went to that store and actually bought the ravioli and the boiled peanuts? Did anybody remember that?
No, he didn't. That's what the haircut guy was saying, that he said he was going to go to the corner store first and then come back and go to Dollar General.
Okay, very
and
good.
Get what he needed. And he saw him headed past the Dollar General to cross over to the store, right next door.
Okay. And we're going to get into
I knew there was, when you say was there any evidence at the house to show, I know he didn't come back home because the 4 videos that he was got, the brand new videos were still wrapped up on the table next to his bed that he was going to watch all night and stay up.
Very good. And of course, the raviolis and the boiled peanuts didn't end up back at your house either, correct?
Right.
All right. So once again, no proof that Joel actually returned on Saturday. I keep bringing this up because it's very important for everybody to understand. Before we get to that video, I do need you to ask you about some other sightings. Of course, we have the barber sighting. When did these sightings? Of course, Crystal is like a restaurant chain here, kind of in the South. I don't know if it's in Pennsylvania or not, where I originally from, but there were 2 sightings of him at this Crystal place. Why don't you talk about those? When did those come up?
Just a couple of days later, the worker there said, they all know Joe, like I said, he's been walking since the late 70s, and every time Joe would go walking, he'd stop in there and they'd give him a free crystal and a cup of water. And so I was just stopping in every place to ask, and showing the picture of my brother and, have you seen him, Oh, yeah, we know Joe, but when I went in Crystal, they said, yeah, Joe was in here Saturday night and Sunday night. I said, he was. Yeah, but we thought it was strange because it was nighttime.
Yeah.
And we've never seen Joe at nighttime. And also, when he came in, he just stood at the counter. And I looked at him, I said, Joe, are you okay? You wanting your crystal and water? Just go over there to the corner booth. I'll bring it to you. And I bought it to him. And he just sat there, just gazing out the window, like he wasn't all there, And he sat there about 20 minutes, and then he got up, threw his stuff in the trash can and walked on out. And the second night when he came, the guy said, Joe, is everything okay? Said he was in that daze again. And I said, look, I'm fixing to get off work. You want me to take you home down the road, You think your mama might be worried about you because it's dark time? And he just ate the crystal and the water and walked back out again.
Okay.
And I don't know if they have video. The police detectives will not talk to us. They say they have lots of different videos of that week, but they will not talk with us and tell us, did they get video from there? They won't even tell us if they got the video from the corner store next to Dollar General, because they got cameras up.
All right, we're going to be talking about, I know you're very eager to talk about the cameras. I just want to because once we get to the cameras, I think probably people's minds are going to be on something else. But I really want to concentrate on these sightings. So we have these sightings at Crystals, and once again, how long after Joel went missing did you talk to the person at Crystals? A day later, several days later?
It was on Monday or Tuesday.
So very quickly.
It was on Saturday. Yes.
Yeah, very quickly. Okay, thank you.
And then there was there was still some more sightings.
Yeah, let's move on. Let's move on to the next one. Somebody said that he or she saw Joel talking to a homeless person. Where did this happen? When did this come up?
Right across from the Crystal at the gas station. across from Crystal. It's my neighbor down here. Her daughter comes over every day and brings her a meal. And she said, yeah, it was about 4:30 Saturday, the day he went missing. She said I pulled in there, and when I went inside the store, Joe was paying for a drink and a candy bar for a homeless couple. And they walk out, and I walk out, and I said, "Hey, Joe, how you doing? Okay. Hey, you want a ride home? I'm heading to my mom's now." And he said, "No, I just met some new friends here. I want to talk to them a while, okay?" And, "Okay, you be careful now." And he said, "I will." And she said as she was backing out, she saw Joe going around the building with this homeless couple. And there's woods all behind that building.
Okay. Is it common for there to be homeless people in this area?
Oh, they're everywhere. They're on every corner.
Okay.
He was the type of guy that would, if you said you were thirsty and homeless, he pulled out $1 or $2 to give you. Okay. He had a heart of gold.
Okay. And so Joel was always carrying cash on him?
Yeah, he never carried. He would get 100 cash on the 3rd of the month, and he would more or less, that would last him until payday. He might get another 25, 40 at the most, but it would last him. He'd make it last him.
Okay.
He just liked to walk and talk. He loved people and loved to talk, loved to walk.
Okay. All right, so we have this homeless person story. Once again, listeners need to think about that. Now, this next story is going to tie into what we're going to be talking about in the storage video in a moment, but this might lead some additional credence to this. A man eventually came forward at some point and said that he thought he saw somebody being stuffed into a car, once again in this area where Joel would have been walking that day. When did this man come forward? How did you find out about him? Did this person contact you directly? The police? What can you say about it?
My neighbor across the street had just come out of church that Sunday, the day Joe went missing.
Okay.
And she stopped in at that store across from Crystal, that gas station, to gas up, to get her some gas. She said this black man came up and saw Joe's poster on the side of my car. No, this was the next day, Monday.
Okay.
Monday. And, but she helps out at her church or something. And she said after she left there, she stopped in to gas up there on the way back home, right there around the corner. And she said, a black man came up and saw the poster that you gave me to put of Joe. And they're big size posters. They're like 12 by 12, And she put one on her window, the side window. And a man came up and said, "Ma'am, is that person a friend of yours?" "Yes, I've known him since 1970. It's my neighbor across the street." "Well, I hate to bear bad news, man, but I witnessed something. I didn't know. I would have called the police. I didn't know." And she said, "You didn't know what?" "Well, I was at the dollar store, and I was coming out. My hands were full with my bags, and I saw this old champagne 1980s car, like with rust on it. Telling your friend to get in the back seat right now." And 4 black people were in the car. 2 were out, pushing him toward inside the back seat. I'm not sure if it was by gunpoint or not. But, he was like, no. And they said, "Get in now." And we mean now. And they shoved him in, and it was at the tip. When you go in the Dollar General driveway, it's like a up tip driveway when you go in it, parking lot. And they stopped right at the tip, he said, to do this. And then they didn't circle back around out. they backed up so nobody could get their license.
Okay. And this person is saying this happened on Sunday, not Saturday, though. Sunday. Or Saturday. This person, this black man who came forward saw...
No, he said it happened on Saturday.
He says it happened on Saturday.
But it was Monday, not Sunday, that he approached her at the gas station.
Okay. Do you know if this person ever called 911, went to the police, anything like that, after seeing something like that?
Yeah, I think they did get in touch with them, but they said it didn't, turn out to be nothing, I guess, in other words.
I guess.
But what was so strange is he supposedly goes, they said, where was he walking from? Because he was in a suit. And he said, from my church, we had an activity. And, it was just a few houses down from the store.
Okay.
And I did see them detectives all in those woods, though. The church, it's all wooded. We have a lot of wooded areas here. And I did see them coming out the next day from that wooded area of the church.
I guess what I'm asking you, Patricia, is when he saw this person getting abducted on Saturday, did he call 911?
No, because he said he thought they were just playing around. He didn't know it was nothing, Okay. He thought it was just a bunch of kids playing around, in other words.
Okay.
He didn't know till he saw my brother's poster on my neighbor's window.
Okay, very good. All right, so remember that, everybody, for in here a couple moments. I just want to ask you one more thing before we get to the storage video. Your nurse, once again, you've talked to her, this woman that had been with taking care of your mother for a couple months. Did she ever say that she saw Joel on Sunday at your house?
No. She said, I didn't expect to see him because he was going to stay up to 10 o'clock in the morning watching videos and then sleep all day till pizza. So she says, I don't recall seeing him. I just figured he was sleeping all day because he had been up all night.
All right. And we also
there
have...
was...
Please.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right. Please continue.
There was my neighbor next door to me that had moved away a couple of months before. But her daughters had called me when they saw Joe on the news, and at 11 o'clock that night, and said the next night saw him on the 11 o'clock news missing, and this would have been Sunday now, and they said we saw Joe on Macon Road over there by the Winn-Dixie by Macon Road earlier today. He was just wandering around. And we were wondering why he'd be over there. I said, the part by Winn-Dixie, that's where my other house is. Across from Winn-Dixie there.
Okay.
And she said he was walking around in circles. I said, are you sure it was my brother? And they said, yeah. Now, this would have been Sunday.
All right. Is there any reason if they thought it was him? If they thought it was him, why didn't and know him? Why didn't they go over and if he's just walking in circles, why didn't they go and try to talk to him, try to help him out?
They were in traffic and they had stopped at the light, but it changed. She said quickly, but it was quick enough to look at him in the face and know it was Joe. Okay. That's what they said.
All right. All right. So we have all these sightings.
He was a walker. They knew he was a walker every day.
Yeah. So we have all these sightings. We got a barber. We got somebody working at this Crystal's restaurant, which once again is some sort of restaurant chain like Chick-fil-A or Burger King or whatever. We have a sighting of Joel seemingly talking to some homeless people, maybe trying to help them out. We have a man who came forward who says that he saw possibly Joel being stuffed into a car. And then we even have these friends and neighbors who said they saw her, him walking in circles in a parking lot. Lots of sightings of Joel from that Saturday into that...
I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
Even a UPS man said he saw him that Saturday. At 3:30 p.m., sitting on the bench. When you go to a Dollar General and take a right on Buena Vista, just 10 houses down is a bench, like for the people that catch the buses.
Yeah.
he said, I saw Joe, which is right next to the fire station. He said, I saw Joe sitting there on the bench. He said, I knew because I did a delivery and I got it signed. And that was around 3:35. And and then a lady comes up that lives across from the fire station and said she spotted Joe turning down the street to the right past the fire station that day, around the same time.
And where would he be going, being that none of us are from there, where would he be going if he's turning a right at the fire station? What direction is that? Where could he have been?
He knew somebody that walked down that street. We never known them to go down that street.
Okay.
It's just off this road, though, right here around from the Dollar General.
Okay.
But we never known him to know anybody on that street. But, Joe had his own life when he went walking,
Sure. Right.
So I don't know.
Let's now talk about that storage video. I know you've mentioned it a couple times. Who found it? I guess you yourself was the one who discovered this video. Why don't you tell everybody how that occurred and what you saw in this video?
My oldest sister Barbie and me, we were out putting up the flyers. I'm asking people all around the Dollar General, did y'all see them, And when I went to Bob's storage next to Dollar General, it sits back a little bit, she says, I got video. You got a picture of them? I got Saturday's video right here. And I said, yeah. And I said, will you play it where we can see it on the TV? Yeah, that's what I'm fixing to do. You tell me if you see them. So she played it, and I said, stop. I told her what time. I said, go back to 3:15. Because it was 3:10 when he crossed over the street. So, go to 3:15. And sure enough, around 3:30, I saw three black teenagers walking across from the corner store to the Dollar General. And then I saw what it looked like to be my brother, but there was a big tree there. But it looked like him because of the way he leans and stuff, leaning in a black car, talking to a black man. And then I see him get up from there and then go back like he's going to go back to the Dollar General. But then he turns back and crosses to the corner store. Well, as he's crossing over right there to the corner store, those three black teenage guys, that tallest one goes out first behind him, and he's pulling something from his back pocket. I don't know. And lifting it high like a hammer. Like he was going to knock the guy I thought was my brother over the head and rob him or something. That's what I think.
Okay.
And when he pulled it out, he motioned for the other two guys to hurry up, And the way the camera is, it's a ditch line, so it blocks the view. So I can't see it. That's where it blocks off, right when he pulled whatever it was out of his back pocket, and it shows him lifting it up, and then like he's going to go down, but right there, and that step is where the video cuts off, the camera. Mm-hmm. But it's also a ditch line there, too, behind that corner store.
So if an attack happened, you can't actually see it on the video.
Right.
For example, this is just an example. For example, you don't actually see this person who might be Joel, like lying on the ground and them beating him up. There's nothing like that on that video.
Right. Because it cuts off right there, the angle of the video.
Okay.
The camera.
Is the video in black and white or is it in color?
No, it was color.
It was color. Now, going back to what this other guy explained, how he thought he saw somebody being stuffed into a vehicle. That guy said it was like a beige vehicle, but what you're saying is the car you see in this video was actually black.
Right, but it drove on off. It went out of the parking lot and drove on off. It took a right and drove on off.
Okay.
And then I see Joe going across.
Okay, very good. You did not see then a beige vehicle in the video?
No.
Okay.
But I wouldn't have seen that because that was on the opening side of the Dollar General, and the man said he backed backwards, right back out of the store.
How long, after you saw this, how long did you continue to watch that video after these people went out of view? Like 10 minutes, 20 minutes? Did you let the tape continue to run or what?
Because we were waiting on our other 3 sisters to get there to watch it. And the FBI husband, that was my husband's best man. Right. And they went, she's so crazy, ain't she? She's so crazy talking about me. And that lady in the store, in the Bob's store, said, I see what she's talking about. I don't think she's crazy. And then my 2 sisters went, well, let us put on our glasses. Can we come behind the counter, ma'am, and be up close? Yeah, y'all come right ahead. And I said, when I say pause, will you pause it, please? And then my one sister said, the FBI man, get on up here so, you FBI, come on, use your intelligence and tell us if she ain't crazy or not. And he wouldn't answer yes or no. He just kept rolling his eyes, He wouldn't answer yes or no to it. I said, you know what silence means. I said, I know what I'm looking at. And I said, the detectives need to blow up this. But, ma'am, I want a copy first. She said, I'll make you a copy, ma'am. Can you, we're closing up. Can you just come back in the morning, though? And I'll do it first thing in the morning, I promise. So my husband and me got up, wanting to get there when they opened. But we were 15, 20 minutes late. The detectives had already went in there and grabbed it and said, you're not making no copies for nobody.
How did the police even know about this? How did the police even know about the video?
My sister, the one I have issues with, called them.
Is that right? All right. Okay, so being that, all right, so I don't know what to think of that. But so what was the general opinion of the video? Of course, most of the people watching that video know Joel. How many of the people in that room watching the video that day thought that the person on the video is Joel?
Well, nobody really commented but those 2 sisters. The other just stayed real quiet.
All right, and what did those 2 sisters, what did they think, that it's actually Joel or not?
No, they said I was crazy.
Oh, they thought you were crazy.
They didn't see nothing like that. And then the one sister said, Joe can't tie shoes. He only wears Velcro. And that guy, he might be dressed like Joe and all, but he's in white tennis shoes, Pat, and Joe don't tie. And I said, well, that's true. And then when I came home and called my baby sister who wasn't down here because she was in California, when I called her and her husband said, Joe does own one pair of tie shoes, Swiss. We bought them for him a couple of years ago when we were down there. Because there was some girl at church there on Buena Vista Road that was winking at him, and I said, well, you want her to get, you want to get her attention, you got to kind of dress a little more manly. So let me take you to the store,
But
so he bought him a different church wear, and bought him a pair of Swiss white tennis shoes that tied and had one Velcro at the tippity top where he could just slide his feet in, and his pants would cover that one top Velcro, like he could tie,
I guess, Patricia, though, we're surely not going to judge whether the person is Joel or not on his shoes, though, right? I mean, if you could see the person, by his build and his walk, that's more likely to tell if it's Joel or not than a pair of shoes, which would be very, very, very small on the screen, right?
Right.
Okay.
But we could tell they were white tennis shoes, and that's why my sister said that. Joe don't tie. Those are tied white tennis shoes. And then when I talked to my sister that night to give her an update, they told me he does own one pair of a white tennis shoe, tied tennis shoe. We bought them for him 2 years ago when we were down.
All right. So I have to ask you, when you went through all of Joel's stuff, are those shoes there? Which shoes are missing?
No, the white ones.
The white ones are missing. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you know if the police, of course the police got the video, would not give it to you. Do you know if they even looked into this to try to figure out if this attack happened or anything else?
They won't talk with us. All we hear is it's an ongoing investigation. We are going to blow up and turn over all the videos that we collected this week from the different stores to their specialists, and they can clear them up a little more and enlarge them for them, but it's an ongoing investigation. Until Joe is found, nothing will be given to y'all.
Okay.
We can't, because it's ongoing.
All right. So we have this video. Please.
I'm sorry.
Please.
I said, please, let us as a family sit down and view these videos, because we might see somebody in there Joe was talking to, or something, a car that he's leaning in that we might look familiar or need to be looking to see if it's driving by the house a lot. These things would help us. We just want to find our brother.
Right.
We can't do that, ma'am. It's an ongoing investigation. Y'all go home. Let us do our job.
Okay.
That's
all right.
what we were told.
All right. So we got this video. I think it was really good that you found it. I wasn't there. Of course, I didn't know Joel. I didn't see the video. I'm willing to believe you, Patricia, that you have a suspicion that it is Joel in the picture. Even if it's not, this still sounds like something that should be investigated anyway, but there's no proof that it was even investigated, whether this was an attack on Joel or anybody else. We just don't know. What about any other videos? Of course, you talked about this bus. Were the bus videos checked to see if Joel got on a bus that day? What can you say?
When I explained to them how the bus pulled up as he was crossing over, and so it blocked my view, I said, I asked the driver, do they have video? And he says, yes. But he didn't remember Joe getting on the bus. And I said, is there different drivers? No, I've been the only driver for this route for the past year, steady. No other driver. And I don't recall ever seeing Joe on this bus. And I said, well, he was on it a few years back, because he rode on it with my brother-in-law, because their car was broke down, and that's how they got to the stores. And he said, well, okay, well, I hadn't seen him this past year when I've been driving it. I said, all right. And he said, but, oh, yeah, we got video. I said, well, then we can see if he got in that red car then that turned the corner.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you see him still walking when you left, the stop. And, but the detectives took too long, and the video was destroyed because they redo it every 30 days.
Okay.
And they waited like 6 weeks to go pick it up.
All right.
But they didn't call in advance to tell them not to arrange, to hold. If they would have done that, they said they would have not touched it. But they didn't get that.
Okay.
They weren't told. They came in like a month and a half later, and it was 2 weeks too late.
What about...
That's a shame.
Yeah, it surely is. What about the Dollar General? If you've mentioned this Dollar General, of course, we know Dollar Generals are all over the United States. Of course, they have video on them. Was video from that building, that store, ever checked out?
Yes, they have. Like I said, the Dollar Generals, all them stores, they only have the inside video, none for the parking lot, right? And the last video of Joe inside was the day before.
All right.
That is what they said.
Okay. So
that's what the detective said.
All right. So Joe is seen on video at the dollar store.
The day before he came up missing.
When we say Saturday or Friday.
Friday.
Friday. All right. So okay. All right. We know that he came home after that. So nothing for Saturday then.
No.
Okay. Very good. Let's talk about this. I have it in my notes. A Shell store where he was allegedly headed. Of course, we know all convenience stores have video. What do you know about that?
That is the one that's next to the Dollar General.
All right.
You just have to cross over that path I was talking about.
Yeah.
Into their parking lot and all. I know they have video. You can even Google the robberies that took place there, and that car even ran through the month before right into their front door. It was on our news.
Oh my gosh.
And I asked the detectives about all the video, and they said, "Look, we can't comment anymore on Joe's case. Okay? We told y'all it's an ongoing investigation. We're not going to answer any more questions. If you have new info, you can give it to us. But until we find Joe, don't think we're going to divulge anything to y'all."
Okay. When was the last time? And what police department is responsible for Joel's disappearance?
Columbus Police Department in Columbus, Georgia.
Okay. And when was the last time you had any sort of conversation with them?
Oh, it's been about 6 weeks. I call them every week.
You do?
I record it.
Okay.
I record it.
You do? You record the conversation. Okay. I love that. Okay.
Yeah.
And so...
I'm not recording us now, but
Yeah, well, I am because
my
this...
tape recorder would have lasted that long.
Yeah, well, I am recording this because this is the interview for the podcast. That's funny that you say that. But so they're not telling you anything because they're saying it's an ongoing investigation.
That's their words to every one of us.
Okay. All right. Do you think, just something off the top of my head, do you think that this, of course, this female police officer who originally showed up at your house, has she had anything to do with this investigation at all?
I don't think so. She just did the report, so they could put a missing bolo out on them and put them on the news,
Yeah.
And I put them, of course, in the newspapers, and on social media, I do that every 6 months.
Right. Okay. But she is not, but I guess what we're saying is she is not the one responsible for this investigation. She was just a patrol officer for this.
Correct.
Okay.
All the detectives the 6 detectives that originally worked the case, they've all retired.
Yeah. That's very common.
Yeah, it's new ones now. And they claim there's not been no further leads, so it's at a standstill.
Okay. Let's move on to this. All right, so we have this video that the police collected. They won't anybody see it. Of course, with the bus, they didn't get there quick enough. Not sure what to make of that, but I guess what we're saying is we're inclined to believe that there may be a couple different videos that they did collect, but they've never just seen the light of day. I don't know how common that is. We know of many disappearances that we've covered on Unfound where the police did release video of the missing person in an attempt to try to get more leads, but in this one, none of those videos that we've talked about have ever been made public, like on the news or anything.
Correct.
Okay, very good. Let's go back now. Let's first talk about this wrong way walk to remind everybody that Joel leaves that Saturday, and then the nurse calls you to the front window, and says that, look at Joel, he went in one direction, but now he's coming back. He's practically running. You're calling out to him. He doesn't hear you. He's ignoring you. You went up that direction, and have you ever been able to determine where he might have been going that particular day? Instead of going the correct way, he went the wrong way.
Well, I talked to everyone on the street. I went door to door with flyers and everything. And at the top of the hill, there is a couple of houses that say, they see Joe in Walmart all the time. And the lady went, I said, well, he's missing. And they went, oh, no. I said, yeah. And I said, so if you see him in Walmart or anywhere, Crystal, anywhere, let me know, okay? Because I don't know what's going on. And we're trying to figure it out. And she said, oh, Joe is such a sweet boy. Oh, my goodness. 2 days ago, I was in Walmart at the register, and I ran short of money. And he pulled out a $20 bill and said, I know you live at the top of the hill. you'll pay me back in a couple of days, won't you? And she went, oh, Joe, that's so sweet of you, honey, but I'm not going to take your money. Okay. And she said, he's just so giving.
All right.
And I said, it's like he, how do I say it? He craves for attention or a friend, you know, to talk with, you know. And he's just a loving soul, you know. But and if he knows you, and even if he don't know you, like if you're a homeless person, but like if he knows you, like he knows, you know, because they walk the neighborhood, everybody around here and all, you know, and I can see him offering her a 20.
Okay.
You know, and I'm like, well, that's kind of strange. Was he really going up to the hill? Because he only had $12 left, because payday was that coming week. And he only had $12 left, but he told me he didn't need none. But was he really going up to that hill because he did lend that lady $20 and needed it back?
I don't know. We can't speculate. You never to be able to determine if he, you know, being that he did go the wrong direction, anybody saw him. You didn't go to any particular house that day. There's never been any proof. Okay. And just to the way you remember it, from the time that he left the house, your house, to the time you saw him running down the street, how many minutes was that, approximately?
When he got to that stop sign, 10 minutes.
All right. So he went 5 minutes in one direction, and then seemingly, or went somewhere and came back. So whatever he was doing that day, it took only 10 minutes.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. Now.
And that red sports car that came by.
Yeah.
There is one at the tip of the hill, on the left.
Okay. And do you know
I
who?
don't know if he's the haircut. Because Joe talks to somebody in a red car he stops at 3 different haircut shops down Buena Vista Road. Matter of fact, when my sister's kid's husband was putting out signs at Zaxby's on Buena Vista Road, a red sports car, and the detective was there too. A red sports car stopped and zoomed in. And the black man got out and said, oh, my God, that's Joe. Joe's missing? Are you kidding? Mm-hmm. And they said, do you know Joel Akridge? Yeah, I know him. He stops and talks to me at my haircut place all the time. And I've even gave him a ride to the haircut place on St. Mary's, which is a ways away. You have to go down a couple of exits. And I'm like, I told the detective, I don't know about that one because I take him for his haircuts every month. So I don't know, but there could have been one time I was busy with my mother and it was a couple of weeks later. I don't know. I said, but he's saying Joe got in his car. And so I asked my son, because he'd go walking with him, right?
Yeah.
I said, did Joe ever try to get in a car with you going walking? Well, matter of fact, the 2 weeks before he went missing, a red sports car drove up on the side there by Dollar General and said, Joe, get in. Huh. And I looked at Uncle Joe and I said, what are you doing? You don't get in cars with strangers. Oh, he ain't a stranger. I've known him for years. And my son said, well, I'm turning around and walking back home. My mama taught me not to get in cars with strangers. I'm not getting in that car. So if you're getting in, I'm going to write the license down and I'm going back home. So he just shut the door and didn't get in and told him, thanks anyway, man. I'm going to walk with my nephew.
Let me ask you about this car at the top of the hill. Have you ever talked, is that the same person, this person at the top of the hill who owns the red car? Who is he?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know if he's the haircut guy or who he is. Right, but I know he lives up there with his mom. But what was so strange is the day I saw it go by, right when Joe crossed over at the stop sign, it stayed away. It didn't come back home for, I don't know, 5 days maybe, it seemed like. And when it did come back home, right behind him follows a cement truck that backs up in his driveway all the way to the backyard.
Patricia, we're not going to get into that, unfortunately. We're not. All I care about is, have you ever gone up to that house and spoken to the guy with the red car at the top of the hill?
Never opened the door. If it is there, won't come to the door.
They won't come to the door. Do you know who lives there? Do you know the name of the person who lives there? You don't have to say it.
No, I don't.
All right. Do you know anybody else who lives up that direction who might be able to give you the name? What kind of reputation does this person have or anything?
No, the lady across the street, when I asked her, does she know somebody in a red car? Yeah, that man across the street there, but he hadn't been home in a couple of days. And then I started watching the house, and it was like 5 days before it showed back up. But he wouldn't answer the door.
All right. So once again, we don't know what this person's name is.
Right.
All right. Is that red car still there 8 years later? Does this person still own the red sports car?
Well, I haven't been up there because there's a big, giant, like 12 feet high fence. Oh. So I can't see in there. You see what I'm saying? Because there's a big, giant, dark 12-foot fence now surrounding the home.
That's a new fence since 2015?
No, it was there.
It was there at the time. It was there at the time. Okay. So we just don't. So we're, you're suspicious of this red car. It might be the same red car you saw on the day of Joel's disappearance that Saturday, but we don't know that the owner's name, the driver's name, and the person won't come to the door.
Right.
Okay. Let's move on to this.
Gone mostly all the time. Like don't come home till dark time, and don't really want to go up there in the dark time. It's not too safe of a neighborhood.
Okay.
Guns go off all the time.
All right, let's move on to this. Joel's room. You've left it untouched since that day?
Yes.
It is just as it was back in 2015.
Actually, those last 2 female detectives, the ones that I was saying was really rude, they're the ones that talked to that one sister that I bump heads with a lot. They're the ones that told me, we need to get some yellow tape and put across this door, because no one's to enter this bedroom till we find Joe. This is an ongoing investigation. And I don't know. The next thing I know, there's a yellow X on my brother's door. So my sister wants to enter it, and I said, you can't. I told you what they said. We can't touch or enter that bedroom until Joe is found, or until 7 years are up and he's declared dead by law. So 7 years, it was 8 years in March. So my sister asked me the other day, Patty, what if there's a clue in that room? We need to come on and go through it. Okay? Pack the stuff up. It's that time, honey. It's been over 8 years, okay? So I told her next week we'd probably start doing that and see if we can find any clues in there, because it's been untouched.
All right, so just so I want to be clear on this, today is July 12th, 2023. That room has been untouched since March 28th, 2015.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because there's yellow tape, X, But I told my sister next week, if she wants to come and help me, we'll do it. Because I'm going to feel bad if there's a clue in there.
You are. Well, you let me know how that goes.
But the detectives did go through the room now, back in 2015. They wanted DNA, so I gave them the hairbrush, the toothbrush, I even told them there's some bloody Band-Aids over here that are fresh where he, raking the yard, y'all want them? That's DNA. No, we don't need them. I thought, geez, his blood, They said, no, we need your blood and your brother's blood. we'll use it. So they took mine and my brother's DNA.
Okay.
So
now,
if they find bones, or something, they can compare it.
Right. So we also have to remind everybody of something that really caught your attention back in 2015 at the time of his disappearance was his door being unlocked, right?
Yes.
That when you discovered all this that night, when you went in there, you knocked on his door, he's not there. When you turned the knob, it was unlocked, and that surprised you.
Yes, very much.
All right.
He never goes walking and not lock his door.
Who had this door would lock with a key?
Yes.
Who would have had a key to that door?
I had keys, and so did I take that back. I had the key to my mother's bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
He had the keys to the front door, back door, and his door, and my mother's bedroom.
Okay, all I'm interested in is
who...
who...
The nurse saw him go in my mother's bedroom and get her fluffy pillow off the bed for her.
Yeah, Patricia, I'm asking you, who had a key to Joel's door?
Just Joe.
Just Joe. All right, so either Joel left it unlocked or somebody got his keys and left it unlocked.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Let's move on to this. Now, on that topic, we're going to come back the whole way to this nurse who was there for a couple months taking care of your mother. She's the one that set you up with this roving mechanic who took 3 weeks to fix your car, which seems unusual to me. But something you mentioned early on in this conversation, we're going to talk about it now. You found out that your wedding ring was missing. When did this happen?
The weekend before Joe went missing. The Saturday before.
All right, so a week before. He goes missing on March 28th, so this happened on March 21st.
Yes.
All right, and so you had taken your ring off and you put it where?
Above the kitchen sink. I was vacuuming up the house, and I heard something go click, and I looked, and my ring was off my finger. I thought it was my ring, but thank God it was a penny that went up the vacuum, and my ring was on over from it. Mm-hmm. And I said, oh my God, because I was going to get it sized that Wednesday on my anniversary, because my anniversary was Wednesday. My husband was we were going to get it sized and him take me out to eat. And I put it up over the sink. Then my husband and I, after I vacuumed, I took a quick shower, and then we ran to Winn-Dixie. And so, because Saturday's Winn-Dixie shopping. That's why they were shopping the day, the night, that night. So, we ran to Winn-Dixie, and when I got back, she was standing on the porch. Oh, you're 10 minutes late? Oh, God, I gotta go. My son's here. I've got to go, hon. I'm going to be late for my second shift job. She worked, I guess, at a bar or club or something and ran the bar or something. So I said, go ahead. I'll run in there. He can get the groceries out of the car and bring them in. Go ahead. And she was just in a hurry, and she ran out and got in the car and left. Well, my husband gets the groceries in, and I'm putting them up, and he's like, where's that ring? You said over the sink. It's not over the sink. I said, yeah, it's up there. Let me get it. And it wasn't up there. I said, well, I might have knocked it behind the fridge right there. I'll look after I get dinner here done. And my brother Joe was in the kitchen making a cup of tea. He went, He said, well, nobody in this house that lives here's got it. And I'm like, Joe, I'm going to pull out the refrigerator after I cook dinner, and it's probably right there, And so anyway, the next day, the nurse comes in. And here comes my brother out of his room. Mm-hmm. And he said, Did you ask that in thief? And he said the word.
Okay.
Where your ring is, to give it back to you. And her eyes just got really big. And his hands are twiddling. I said, Joe, she just walked in the door. Let me handle it, okay, please? I haven't even pulled out the fridge yet. You know it's not behind that fridge, okay? And me and Bob will pull it out right now and show you. I said, Joe, please let me handle my business, okay? Thank you for caring. Let me handle it. He walks back to his room and he comes back out again, ready to go walking. And he went, you know that effing Ian got your diamond, your $2,000 ring, and you need to do something about it. We don't need a thief in the house.
This is Joel saying this.
Yeah, this is Joe saying that as he's going out the door.
Okay.
And she said, like, what's going on? I said, Joni, remember when my ring dropped off yesterday, you know, when I was vacuuming and I put it above the sink? We can't locate it. Did it go down the drain? I said, no, the drains have catchers. It wouldn't fit through that. And she said, wow, let me come in there and help you look for it. I said, Joni, we done looked for it everywhere. I said, I'm going to pull out the fridge just in case I knocked it off the shelf there next to the fridge because it's right beside the sink. And she said, all right. So that's the last she talked about it. And then when my brother went missing, my sister Rudy, the one that likes to start trouble, mentioned to the cops that Mama had said, she said, I think she had something to do with my brother's disappearance. This is the first thing she said before she blamed me. She said, I think she had something to do with my brother's disappearance some way. Why do you think that? Because, you know, he has a mouth and he don't watch his words. Not that he means anything by it. It's just his vocabulary, you know. But, yeah, my sister's $2,000 wedding ring come up missing over the sink, and he used the N-word toward her a couple of times, and, you know, so they've had words, and I think she got it, because nobody else in that house got it. They're all family. And so the detectives went to the pawn shops with a picture of her.
Okay.
And asked if there was any pawn tickets for jewelry under her name. And then they come over to my house and show me 3 rings and pictures where they shot 3 sets of rings. And they said, any of them look familiar? I said, yep, the middle one. It's mine. And I said, where did you get that picture? And they said, Patricia, we're going to do an arrest tomorrow, but you've got to play it cool when she arrives here. You understand? Mm-hmm. Can you do that for us? Yeah, I can do that. What are you saying? Your nurse took it and went and pawned it.
Wow.
And that's how we got these pictures.
How long after Joel's disappearance did this happen?
The week before. The Saturday before Joe went missing.
All right, and then it wasn't discovered that she stole it until 6 weeks after Joel went missing.
Right.
Okay. And we have to remember that Joel, from the beginning, it seems, suspected the nurse.
Right.
And made it known to her when she was in your house, and in fact, calling her a very bad word, right?
Right.
Okay.
A couple of times.
A couple of times. All right. I just want everybody, this is what this whole entire interview has been leading up to. So she shows up, and do they charge her with stealing your ring?
Oh, yeah. What they do is...
well, we don't need to get any specifics, but
they didn't come to the house. They called us all in to do depositions about the week Joe disappeared.
Okay.
What we thought. And then they sprung it on her. You're under arrest for that, you know.
All right. And did she go to jail for that?
Yes, but she got bailed out the same day. And she ended up just getting probation.
Okay. Did you get your ring back?
For 5 years. Oh, yeah, they gave me my wedding ring back.
All right.
She had to pay for that, too.
Okay. All right. So this woman who was in your house taking care of your mother for those couple months, the week before Joel goes missing, she stole your ring, and seemingly Joel knew it. We don't know if he actually saw it happen, but he suspected that she did it.
Correct. It probably was a month after when they arrested
That's fine.
her. About a month.
That's fine. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we have that. I think everybody needs to think about that really seriously. Now, as far as your car getting worked on, and of course, she stole your ring, but then she's also recommending these guys fix your car. Did they actually fix your car, or did you have to get it looked at again?
Oh, they fixed it, but then it blew up down the street at the gas station, and gasoline came pouring out everywhere. The police came, fire trucks came, and they made him come to that gas station and fix it.
Okay.
Because I showed them my receipt, and they went, for one, you shouldn't even pay a fourth of that.
Right. All right. So, so they ripped you off.
Right.
All right. So she, not only did she steal the ring, she set you up with a couple guys who didn't fix your car and ripped you off.
Right.
Okay. Let's move on to something else. You had mentioned before about some of your mother's figurines and things. Did some of those things go missing?
Yes, she had some, like, trinket boxes, and like eggs made of porcelain. And my mom was saying, I've seen her popping something over there when you were at the doctor in her purse. But she didn't tell me till the next day, and I couldn't ask her to open the purse. I mean, she wouldn't have the inner purse no more, But her purse, I remember lifting it up a couple of times, and it was heavy.
All right.
Really heavy.
All right, so you believe that she stole some of your mother's things too, but those things didn't end up at a pawn shop?
Really didn't look. They wanted pictures, and I didn't have pictures.
Okay.
They said, well, if you can come up with pictures, we can go back to the pawn shop,
Okay. Was this nurse familiar with the daily walks that Joel took?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Now, remind everybody, how did you end up with this particular nurse in the first place?
She was recommended by one of the hospice nurses.
Okay.
That saved my mom.
Okay. After this all came out that she stole this ring and everything, did you ever go back to one of those hospice nurses and tell her what happened? That, you recommended somebody who ended up ripping me off.
I told them, and they said, wow, do you know, if you call our main office, they'll fire the one that recommended her to you, because we're not allowed to do that. We're not allowed to give recommendations that aren't hospice nurses.
Okay.
If she would have recommended another hospice nurse that wanted to hop in on a second shift, that would be different. But that lady's not a hospice nurse and never has. Matter of fact, we don't even think she has credentials to be a nurse.
Wow.
That's what they told me.
Okay.
I think it was just a friend of that lady.
I think you're right. How did
she had nails? I'm serious. Her nails were so long they were curling. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, how are you going to change Mama's diapers and empty the bag, the urine bag? Yeah, it's going to be hard, but don't worry, I can do it.
How did she react to Joel's disappearance? She comes to show up for work the day after or whatever Joel's missing. How did she react to it?
She just said, oh, where could he be? That's so strange, isn't it? Mm-hmm. He's always right back home, especially before dark. I have not seen Joe come home one time past dark. I said, he knows better. I said, usually, like you see, he's not gone more than 2.5, 3 hours each day. If even that. Sometimes he's back in 30, 40 minutes.
Before
just goes up there and buys his candy and come right back.
Before Joel went missing, before the ring was discovered to be missing, How did Joel and the nurse get along? Of course, once that ring went missing, Joel, he was right.
Right.
How did they get along up to that point?
They seemed to get along okay.
Okay.
There wasn't an issue, really. It was just, when that ring came missing, he just clicked.
Yeah.
He was mad.
Yeah. Okay.
Because he knew he had, heard Bob say he was going to take me that Wednesday to get it sized down for my anniversary. Everything was going on that week. It was just so crazy.
I have to ask you a question.
Tuesday, like I said.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have to ask you a question. Do you think now, in retrospect, being that Joel suspected this, do you think that he actually saw her steal it in the first place?
Well, I don't think he might have seen her. He just knows, that nothing's ever come up stolen from this place. We leave our money out, our medicines out, before Mama got paralyzed there, and the nurses had to work on her, We always was open house, we didn't have to worry. We left our purses on the table or whatever, money on the counter overnight, whatever. We never had to worry about that because family don't do family wrong. They don't steal from family and do family wrong. So we really didn't have to worry about it. And then this happens, and Joe hears Mom over there saying, "Aren't you going to check her purse before she leaves today?" I said, "Mama, that was yesterday. She's not going to have it in her purse today. She's already went home." I said, "I will watch. I promise I will keep an eye on the stuff."
Where is this nurse now? Of course, after she got charged with stealing, obviously she was not your nurse anymore. Have you kept tabs on her for the last 8 years?
No, I hadn't. I mean, I got her phone number, I don't know if it's still the same, but, we really never talked because the DA called me up and said, "Oh, you don't have to appear in court. We done settled it out of court." I said, "Huh? What?" "Yeah, we just gave her 5 years probation. She might be a thief, but she ain't a killer, honey." And that's what the detective said, too, because they all knew what was going on with my brother here.
Do you think they ever seriously asked this nurse any questions about Joel's disappearance?
Oh, yeah, because she told them, how my 2 sisters were acting toward me and how they were saying awful things, and she couldn't believe family would say such awful things to another family member.
Okay.
While they were mourning also,
Let's move. All right, so we got this nurse. It does, I think, we have to talk about it. That's why we did. We're going to look at, the nurse, the ring goes missing. Joel suspects the nurse, and he was correct, calls her some names, and then a week later he goes missing.
Right.
Is that a coincidence? Is there causation and correlation? That will be up for the listeners, but it certainly is curious. Okay.
Yes, it is.
Moving on to this, going back to talking about Joel, and I even have it in the outline here. Even if he was attacked, it's, if we're to believe that it was he in this video who was attacked, it does seem like he was seen by people, and you're talking to these people just a couple days after he went missing. So, I'm inclined to believe that their memories are still good if it's just a couple days later. Any reason that you can think if he was attacked by someone, whether connected to the nurse or not, any reason he might not come home because of that, or
I think like if it was a hammer and it hit him pretty hard, that his brain's just not functioning right, and he might not even woke from it, knowing his name or where he lived, and he was just walking around hoping somebody, recalled who he was or that he would remember. That's the only thing I can think of.
Okay. Let me ask you this. If say he goes out the day and say he does get attacked, but they just kind of mug him. They get his wallet and whatever else he has. Whoever. Doesn't matter if it's connected to the nurse or anybody else. But if he lost his keys, would he come home if he had lost his keys? If he lost them?
Well, I would say he would come home because, that's all he knows is home. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
He's never held a job, nothing. He wouldn't know survival skills,
right.
In other words.
Okay.
So, yeah, I would say if my mom was up walking, no, maybe not, because we had stern parents being military. Yeah. And he did lose his wallet once before, his wallet. Mm-hmm. And boy, she never let him live it down, because you have to go through a lot going through the military to get your IDs back and all of that. A lot of paperwork you got to locate and find and everything. And she never let him live it down. So that's what I'm wondering, if he woke up and didn't have the keys or the wallet.
Because we have to remember his room was unlocked, and what are the odds of him leaving that day on that Saturday and not locking his door? Not very likely, right?
Right.
All right.
So that would mean he couldn't find his keys before he went walking.
Yeah.
Or, yeah, that's what it would have to mean.
So somebody had his keys.
Yes.
Right. Somebody had his keys. Okay.
And my mom had jewelry, the old bills, the coins, all missing from her room after she died, and the family came over to go through the home and see what they want. Those items were missing.
Okay. Now, before we get into how this has affected you, you've kind of said it a couple times, and really, I don't know how deeply we want to get into this, but why is it that one of your sisters, as best as you can tell, once again, I'm not here to cause internal family strife or, to make something, blow up again. But I have to ask, being that you've brought it up, why is it that one of your sisters at some point started pointing the finger at you for Joel's disappearance? Why is that?
We've had issues all our life, not just with me. With half of the siblings she has issues with. Okay. And it goes all the way back since we were teenagers. Oh my. I don't know if you want me to.
No, we don't have to get into
that detail, because it's really, really personal.
No, I don't want to go in it. So what you're saying is this is just a continuation of things that have been going on for 30, 40 years.
Yes, and she thought she should have got this home because she was the only one of the kids that didn't have a home. So I guess she wanted to move back down here because she worked for the Burger King Corporation, and they had offered her job back down here. And I think she was because she had asked Mama, would she kick us out and let her and her kid move in. And she said, I'll have meals delivered to you 3 times a day, Mama, and you'll have everything you need, and you won't have all them people in your house, And, of course, Mama said, I chose who I chose. Mm-hmm. None of y'all were willing to come over here 4 times a day and give me diabetic shots, because me and my mom's insulin diabetics. And none of you wanted to touch the needle and give me the shots. Pat sacrificed 4 times a day coming over here feeding me and giving me shots. Y'all wouldn't give her a break, nothing. Mm-hmm. They gave me a break one time, and that was the year before my mother passed after the stroke, for my husband to go off for the weekend. When 11:30 hit the next day, they were calling the hotel, and asking, were we loading our car up and heading back? Because Mama's yelling for you. We can't do nothing with her. no, I want Patty, I want Patty. That's all she was yelling out. And they didn't want to touch them needles, you know, and it was really sad. It broke my mom's heart, you know.
All right, so what you're saying is really the reason that your sister acted like this toward you is there's nothing factual to ever think that you or Bob or anybody except maybe the nurse had something to do with their disappearance. This is just something that's been going on for years and years and years.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
All right, let's move on to this now.
But she put me through hell. She put me through hell. I'm going to tell you, she did. She still is. She's that one sister. Just the one sister.
Mm-hmm. Okay. How tough have the last 8 years been, outside, of course, of that? Now, I know that you lost your husband last year. You know, you lost, what, a son or a brother within the last few years as well. And then to start this all off, of course, in 2015, Joel goes missing. I mean, you just have so many things going on to you, you know, and I realized recently that you've had some health issues yourself. I mean, can you even begin to explain to everybody the last 8 years?
Well, it's just really been tough. I mean, I've been ill with the stress, you know.
Yeah,
the
of course.
Self-care decline of myself. I feel my joy was stolen from me when this happened to my brother.
Yep.
You know, nothing but the search for my brother mattered, you know. It just took a tremendous toll on me and my family, you know. And, I mean, I want the grief journey to end. I want the emotional impact has been so significant, you know. The uncertainty and the hope of finding what happened to my brother is so overwhelming for me.
Yeah.
You know, I fluctuate between, and I don't mean to get emotional, but
it's totally fine.
I fluctuate between hope and hopelessness all the time. You know, it's like I'm living in limbo. You know, I just can't move on, really, while my brother's still missing out there. It's terrifying. Mm-hmm. You know, because you never think that's going to happen to someone in your family, you know.
Nobody suspects it. You're right.
It's just, we really need closure so we can go on and move on and heal, you know. And all I can do is hope that one day we get the answers that we do seek. Mm-hmm. And even though, you know, there's a sibling that has different views about what she thinks and who's involved, you know, I know I don't have to worry ever about someone knocking on my door and arresting me, because everyone in my family knows I've been the caretaker for all, you know, both my brain-injured brothers, you know, my mama, my husband, you know, and they know my heart. And it's just been a roller coaster. It's been a roller coaster of hope and despair, you know, colored by uncertainty, and the lack of closure is just the sense of not knowing it just brings me great anxiety every day, the agony, you know. Yeah. And the unresolved grief is just so unbearable, you know. Mm-hmm. And I feel like numb by the pain of not having my brother here. You know, I don't know if he's, you know, moved on and deceased. I don't know if somebody might have him somewhere and holding him against his will, you know. I don't know, and that is just killing me. I need answers. This family needs answers so we can move on and come back together, you know. like we once were. And but I'll never give up hope or faith in finding him one day. You know,
Who is, of course, who is still left from 2015? Of course, I know that your husband died last year. Your mother, she is deceased now too.
And my brother. So there's Joe's 5 sisters.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it.
And who are you living with now? Who are you living now with, Patricia?
I still live in the same house. I live with Joe and my mom and my husband. I live. My 2 children live here with me.
Okay.
And they both do have mental disease.
Okay.
But we're all survivors.
Right.
Like I said, I've survived a lot.
You have.
And I've learned from it. But it's hard to move on because I have feelings of guilt, anger, regret, anxiety, helplessness. I have all of that, you know. And it is hard. It is. So, I mean, the guilt part is like, how can I get on with my life when I don't even know where my brother is, That's really hard for me.
Yeah.
It really is. So.
Yeah. Patricia, do you have a website or Facebook page, anything like that set up for Joel's disappearance? Why don't you tell listeners about it right now?
Now, for Joe's disappearance, I don't know. I don't know if there's a direct one for Joe's disappearance, but I talk frequently about him on my Facebook.
Yeah, why don't you give that out?
Loved ones,
yeah, what is it? Yeah, what is it?
But Patricia Koonce.
Okay.
Koonce.
Okay.
And they can read articles online and stuff too. But I think there is one for Joe. I'm just trying to think right now how it was worded. I think my sister did that one, my other sister that's in the hospital that had a stroke. So I have a sister who had a heart attack actually, and she's been in the hospital over a month. Then I have another sister battling with kidney and health problems, and then myself, like I said, I've had several back, neck surgeries and stuff going on. So, we're not getting no younger, and our health is declining, and we just beg, the people out there to please help us, some way, help us find our missing loved one. We need help.
Of course you do. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm here. Yeah.
Every time human remains are shown on TV, or they pop up on the internet even, around here for our county, my heart just feels like it's going to stop beating, because I wonder if those remains belong to my brother Joe.
Yeah.
And we're waiting on some now that are really near us.
Huh.
And we did hear that story, too, that I didn't tell you. There's a homeless walker out here. And he tried to say I would find Joe in a set of woods off Buena Vista Road in the Chicago Road area. And that's where they just found the last body. And it was wrapped up. It's the total body, but it's all bones. But it still has its clothes and shoes on. Mm-hmm. They said it's been there a long, long time. And they found it in a set of woods behind a plant down the street here. And but they said it could take up to a year.
Yep, it could.
The GBI lab or whatever you call them people to
forensics.
figure it out.
Yeah.
To figure it out.
That is true. unfortunately.
But it's my hope that someone will come forward with some new leads for us to follow up on. And I just hope it's soon.
Yeah.
You know, I'll always cherish the memories that I had with my brother forever, because he touched my heart in so many ways. You know, when I would be feeling down, he knew how to make me smile, laugh, and I miss that very much.
Patricia, any final words before we complete this interview?
I just want to thank you for doing this podcast with me, and hopefully a miracle will happen soon for us.
Patricia, I appreciate you. It's been a while. I feel like I know you really, really well, even though we've never met in person. We've known each other for at least 4 or 5 years. I have to say, I'm really happy that you finally appeared on Unfound. I certainly hope that we can help you find Joel as quickly as possible. So I appreciate you appearing on this episode of Unfound.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And God bless you.
You're welcome, and thanks.
And that was my July 12th, 2023 interview with Patricia Kuntz, sister of Joel Akridge. I thank her for joining me and all of you on this episode. I also extend my condolences to Patricia for everything that has happened in the last few years since I've gotten to know her. She has suffered a lot of loss. As you probably already guessed, I made a map analysis video for Joel's disappearance. I can see by the stats that only a small portion of the audience watches them. But I'm going to keep making them until everyone realizes how important they are to the overall understanding of disappearances. Most of them are around 10 minutes long. Come on, people, I know you have the time. So please go to the Unfound Podcast Channel on YouTube to watch me diagram the different locations mentioned in this interview. I also give some opinions on why the sightings and the storage video may or may not go together. This is one of those disappearances where a lot of tiny facts can be easily overlooked. Items that could get lost in the overall big picture. Here they are in no particular order. Joel going the wrong way, at least initially that day. The video showing what is believed to be an assault, but a witness describing a different scenario. Joel's door being unlocked on Sunday evening, even though he always locked it when leaving the house. Joel being seen at a Crystal's almost 2 miles away from the storage complex where an assault seemingly occurred. How much do any of these mean? I'm not sure, but I'm inclined to believe some of them mean something. We also have to calculate the odds of the following things happening within a short time of each other. Joel going missing. The nurse stealing Patricia's wedding ring. A car taking 3 weeks to get fixed. Figurines disappearing from the house. And even if you are to think that the nurse and company had something to do with Joel's disappearance, does this not then seem to be a very straightforward crime, where police could have figured this out in no time? This group all seem more like the gang that couldn't shoot straight than criminal masterminds to me. Yet here we are in 2023 with no resolution. This leads me to thinking either that the police really completely bungled the investigation into what happened to Joel, or we're all in the dark a lot more than we can tell. And we could be here for some time. If you'd like to hear and read my complete insights into the disappearance of Joel Akridge, please go to patreon.com/Unfound Podcast and sign up to partake in the Unfound blog. And that's the program. Right now, while you are in your podcast platform, Spotify, YouTube, iTunes, wherever,
Give Unfound a 5-star review, a thumbs up, whatever that platform allows. I thank you for listening. I'm Ed Densel, and you've just finished this episode of Unfound.